One to talk about places a bit. Um, Now, places can change. Um, like, sort of like we can end up in different wards without ever moving. Well, some of these places can change where they are without moving. And if you're confused, why, well, that's what we're going to talk about. Okay, let me figure out how to share my screen here. And yeah. Okay. I want to show you something here in Family Search. I'm just going to pick a person, and I'm having trouble navigating because I've got the window in here. And like I say, we're just looking at a person at random, and we're going to look at this person's burial date. Now, what I've done here, I've just changed it so some of the standardized places come up. And what I want to show you and point out, whenever you're putting in these standardized places, it's going to give you a little note down here. Do you see my mouse moving?
Yeah.
Willis in Montgomery County, Texas, was formed in 1872, and that's through the present day. Now, sometimes a place may be someplace else. Dennis, you're from Idaho.
Yes, sir.
What can you tell me about Root Hog, Idaho?
About what town in Idaho?
Root Hog.
I cannot tell you anything.
Oh,
I'm committed to secrecy about root hog.
okay.
I never heard of it before.
Oh, okay. Oh, what about Junction, Idaho?
No, can't tell you anything about that either.
Okay. How about Arco?
I know Arco, yes.
Okay. Now, what part of Washington is Arco, Idaho in?
A part of Washington? Well, that's a very interesting question, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I don't have a clue. But I can tell you where Arco, Idaho is.
Okay. And in case you don't know, Arco, Idaho is by Craters of the Moon and was the first town in the United States to be lit by atomic energy.
I thought you were asking me about Arco, Washington.
Well, maybe
Arco, Idaho. I knew what you just said about Arco, Idaho.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about when. Arco is at one point, Idaho didn't exist. True. But there was a town there, a very short-lived town of Root Hog. And then the stagecoach came through and they met down at the junction. So it was Junction in 1864. And then it finally became Arco.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah. But Arco, or what is now Arco, in 1860 was actually in Spokane County, Washington.
Okay.
Because Idaho didn't exist yet.
Okay.
Now, if you're doing your research and trying to look for records, that can be confusing.
I would think so, yes.
Yes. So the big question is, how do you know where to look for the record whenever some of these places change. And that's what we're going to look at just a bit. So, but just remember this little hint whenever you're putting those in family search and it brings up the standardized place, there is a date down there. And if you're putting in a date that doesn't match that, you might need to change the place. It might be slightly different. Well, let's take a look at some of these places. Now, this is a website in family, a page in family search. And how I got here is just in case you want to write this down, in case you need to research a place, it's familysearch.org/research/places. And we'll go ahead and look at ARCO.
So Jim, if you look up ARCO Idaho, it will give you what we saw earlier, something similar to what we saw earlier with the date that it actually became ARCO Idaho at the bottom. Is that right?
Yeah, it'll give the dates there.
Okay, so if it's before that date, then what you're saying is there was something else there that and now you're going to tell us how to find out what it was.
I'm going to show you 2 or 3 different ways, because I will admit people don't always agree about what was where when. There are some discrepancies, and you may catch that on some of these. Okay, I just typed in ARCO ID, and it brings up 3 ARCOs here. And it says ARCO is in Butte County, and it's a city from 1817 to present day.
1917.
1917. Now, before that, evidently, Butte County didn't exist, or it had totally different boundaries. So you might find a record actually in Blaine County, Idaho, if it's between 1895 and 1917.
What's that little thing up in the right-hand side of that box? Yeah, what does that tell us?
I don't know. Let's try. I think we've got time. Well, nothing happened. Well, if the screen shifted, but I don't know.
Well, it brought up a cemetery.
Yeah. I'm going to back up here. Now, if you're looking for a record in ARCO, Idaho between 1880 and 1895, and Dennis, tell me if I'm saying the county wrong, Alturas?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's between 1880 and 1895. And on a little thing I'm going to show you, they actually say at one point it was in Bear Lake County, Idaho. And before that, it was in Spokane County, Washington. That was about 1860. So this can be kind of confusing, but just remember familysearch.org/research/places, and you can do a little research on these. Now, I want to see if I can show you something here. If I can close some things down, and then I'm going to have to figure out how to bring all of this back up. Do you see a sign? A big green sign?
No.
No?
Not me.
It's not showing? Okay. Well, that's what I get on this sharing screen thing.
Maybe she's sick. Maybe she got a different phone.
What it says is, welcome to Bladen County, and this is North Carolina, and it's subtitled The Mother County, and that's what their county lines signs say as you're driving through the county. And the reason they say that is Bladen County is one of those counties, when it was originally formed, took up half the state of North Carolina, and actually 55 counties, and North Carolina has 100 counties, all are part of 55 counties were formed from Bladen County.
You care about roach ag marketing.
So, okay, let me see if I can bring back my screen. Okay, can you still see Arco?
Yes.
Okay, great. There is a handy dandy tool out there called Animap. And what I'm going to do is go to the search bar, go down to the Family Search Wiki. Yes, go down to the Family Search Wiki, and it's stuck. There we go. And in the search bar, I'm going to type in Animap, and I've already typed in Historical Atlas, County Boundaries. And it brings up this wonderful, wonderful set of instructions on how to use Animap. And I thought, well, boy, this is wonderful. And it tells you this is available from a website called goldbug.com. Well, now, if it has .com, that's going to mean commercial. In other words, for $39.95, you can order this. Well, I don't want you to go spend money, especially when you can go to the Family History Library and use this for free. Unfortunately, you noticed I said Family History Library, not Family History Center. If you're in Salt Lake, you can go down there and use this wonderful program. So you just put on your mask, go down to the airport, go to Salt Lake, and you've got it. And my wife is over my shoulder and she's laughing, wondering what in the heck I have done here. Okay, we have some other ways of getting a partially functional version of Animap. In fact, I'm going to show you a couple of ways. Now, this one you might want to write down, but go to mapofus.org. Whoop, have to spell it right. Now, unfortunately, this is a commercial site and it is ad supported. So you get some of these big ads in the middle. And at some point when you're using it, one may pop up. So don't be freaked out. Just go down a little bit and you see a list of states here. And since we talked about Idaho, we're going to look at Idaho. And it's a little slow sometimes. It's being really slow. Oh, there's my ad. Close. It has to stay up for a minute. Come on. I've seen this multiple times. Come on, get rid of it. Well, I'm clicking and nothing's happening.
This is a great tour, Jim.
Oh, yes. I had been in this earlier today, and if you're in it a couple of times, it won't pop up. Okay, now let's try again. Now we have Idaho. Try again. Now, hopefully, you see a map of Idaho right in the middle of the screen. And down below it is a list of years. Now, I know sometimes on screen sharing, it may be a little fuzzy, and this print is extremely small. Idaho is in here someplace, but it says Oregon Territory created and extended into Idaho region, and this is 1848. And it actually gives you some little codes here on what these counties were. And there's a legend on down here. But what is really neat about this, you can click on the various years, and we're going to move up to 1860. And this is going to be a big jump. Now you start seeing something that part of it looks like it might be the corner of Idaho, but it still says, now it says Washington Territory. And there's a little SP here. That was in Spokane County, Washington Territory. So if we move up, oh, let's take a big jump, 1888. Now it's starting to look like Idaho. I believe the state boundary is the way we know it today. But Dennis, does that look like the right amount of counties?
No, no. The one on the Over on the far right, on the east side of the state, it says it's that one right there. That's
Yeah.
there's at least 3 counties in that area right now. There may be 4.
Yeah. And see what you can do with this, if you're trying to find a record and not having luck, this BL, I'm guessing, BI, I think it's Bingham.
Yeah, I'd say probably Bingham.
You know, Dennis said there's maybe 4 other counties here. You might be looking in this county up here, and that record won't be there. It'll be, if it exists, in the county seat of the original county. And you have to go in and play on this. And whenever we talk about doing family history, yeah, you're going to have to get into the history of the county, of the area. So let's jump ahead a little bit. Let's do 1911.
Hey, Jim,
Yes.
this Lyle, while you're there, can you do a search for me? Because my dad was born in that one of those counties you got.
What year?
He was born in 1923, and it shows here the city of Sharon, which was Bear Lake County. Is that correct?
Well, we don't show towns, so this is one of the things that you might have to have an atlas with you.
Okay.
Isn't that one right down there where your cursor is? Is that
It's
BL,
right
or
there.
would that be Bear Lake?
BL right there, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that just happened to fall there. Maybe that's because that's where Bear Lake is.
Well, can we tell when it was incorporated or when it was created?
Well, as a matter of fact,
Or see what it looked like in 1923, say 1919, that's close.
okay, this is 1913, so let's look 1919.
Bear Lake
Bear
was
Lake,
existing.
and then it jumps from 1919 to 1965. Whoa,
Oops,
that really moved.
it canceled everything. Download PDF.
Yeah, well, that ad keeps popping up.
Okay, so anyhow, well, I just was curious. It looks like it stayed Bear Lake for those couple of years, so thank you.
Yeah, we can maybe see it was Bear Lake in 1888.
Sharon
And-
is like a crossroads right now. It's
Yeah,
maybe one house or something. There's it's in the upper left-hand corner of Bear Lake, Idaho County.
so even back in the late 1800s, it was still Bear Lake County. So you're pretty good on looking in Bear Lake County. But one thing I will mention, sometimes I keep thinking of Arlene Taylor's husband. He was, he thought, born and raised in, I think, Texas, but where he was, there wasn't a hospital, and they went across the river to a town that had a hospital. They just made a trip over. He was born and came back into Oklahoma. And I think he had trouble finding his birth certificate because he thought he was born in Texas. So sometimes you have to be aware of those counties around you. Now, one thing that's fun to do up here, they have a thing, play, stop, view, previous. We'll see if we can show this. If it works, it's being a little funky tonight.
Well, I was sure off on my count of counties in that area, wasn't I? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
5,
there's quite a few.
Yeah.
But you can hit the play function and it will go from the earliest to the latest. And boy, it hits 18 there. Now it's going. You can see how it changes over the years. And you can pause it if you need to. Trying to read this can be kind of tricky. But this is a tool that you can use to help with your research.
Very interesting.
I think this is fun. Okay, pause, stop. This is also available at a website called mycounties.com. And this is a really nice website to use if you are trying to learn about a certain county. There will be stories in here for all 50 states. And it will bring up this exact same map, but it also has some history in there of the counties. And this can be fun to use. Let me see what we can learn. Well, it's almost like a Wikipedia article. Has a whole list of things and list of old former counties that are no longer there. And you may run into these. You may run into Deer Lodge County in Idaho Territory. So, and that's something you have to remember. Some of these states were territories before they were states. And this can affect your search. So just keep that in mind. Let me see if I can find North Carolina. And find the map again. Oh, it tells you some things about the census, about when they had them, and when the county was formed. And great, I can't find the map. I know I'm looking right at it. Believe it or not, I did practice this. Oh, there we go. Now see, in 1664, and you won't find a lot of records from them, but you might get lucky, North Carolina had 2 counties. And you know, that's, no, I want to go back here for Bladen County, back even more. Wifey says 1734. Okay. You know, I showed you that picture, Bladen County being the mother county. This is Bladen County in 1734. And if you notice, it doesn't even really have a northern or a western boundary. Now, the chances of you finding records out here in 1734 are pretty slim. Very, very few whites would have been out here. This would have still have been probably Cherokee or whoever. But a lot of county changes here. And up in here where the Hausers are from, I used to see things about, and I forget what county Winston-Salem is in. Help me, is it Surrey now? No. Forsyth?
Forsyth, yes.
Forsyth. I'd see records on Surrey County, and then Rowan County, and then Yadkin County. And it was all the same place. Just the counties You know, they'd have a great big county because there were just a few people there. But they had enough people to make a county, and then they had more people, and then they split it up.
I've often wondered, Jim, do you know what's the criteria for creating a new county? Do you have any idea?
No, I know there are actual numbers for creating a state and a territory. And I want to say 50,000 for a state or a territory. Counties would have been a lot smaller. And I do not know that.
No, it's not interesting. It's just something pops into my mind every now and then. How did they decide to do this? So the material.
Well, no, it's kind of important because you have to look at the migration patterns and see where people were. You know, North Carolina starting out with 2 counties.
Yeah.
Indiana started out with a few counties down along the Ohio River. And then way up north, it was either one great big county that took up 90% of the state, or on some maps, they show it as Indian territory.
Well, North Carolina actually started out as Carolina. There was just one,
That's true too. Oh, very good point.
you know, that's what happened in some of these areas. It's just like a supposed ancestor of mine died in 1861, but they say West Virginia, which we know, if you remember American history, West Virginia was not created as a state until 1863. So actually he was born and died in Virginia, but records people still will pop up with West Virginia when West Virginia didn't exist.
Yeah. Yep. Very true. That might be a good one to look at. I wonder if we could, because we've got the time, and I only have one more site to go here.
So I'm trying to find what's the criteria for creating a county.
Well, actually, the map shows yeah, that print I can hardly read, but it shows Virginia there and gives the kind of the history on how they formed the state. So let's look at 1861. See, that was Virginia in 1861, and you've got this area that kind of looks like West Virginia. So yeah, you can get into this and just find out all sorts of things. So, oh, hello, Michelle. Cousin Michelle, I did not know you were on. Good to see you. I see your chat there. Maybe this will help you out on some of the research there on the Hauser line. Okay, one other website that I want to show you, and again, I have to go through a bit of a song and dance, and this is from Newberry Library, and that's NEWBERRY.org. Now I have to look at my notes here to find the path. Research, Digital Newberry, digital resources by type. The thing you want to remember is Newberry research, and then go from there, rather than follow this whole path. Atlas of Historical County Boundaries. And this shows Oklahoma. Oh, this is rather interesting. I was going to show you a different map, but you know, if you're working in Oklahoma, even when Oklahoma was a territory, Oklahoma Territory was over here, and Indian Territory was a separate spot over here. So if you're doing Oklahoma research, keep that in mind. Okay, let me find the counties here. Atlas of historical counties. Okay, we just click on a state. Okay, somebody out there, you want to give me a state and we'll click on it and take a look at it. Remember to unmute yourself.
Let's go with New Mexico. That's kind of a sparsely populated state, I think, isn't it?
Okay, we'll take a look at New Mexico and we will look at the interactive map. Similar in function to Animap, but different. And I have noticed whenever I compared the two, they have some differences. And I think if you wonder why there are differences there, it's because population was so sparse that they just kind of said, oh, well, the boundary's out there someplace. Nobody went out with little flags and marked it. And that, I think that's where the differences came in.
But wasn't
Oh, go ahead.
John and Shirley, since that's your home state, did it become, jog my memory, but didn't it not become part of the United States until after the Mexican-American War, New Mexico? Because I know California did. But what about Arizona and New Mexico? Did it become part of the United States at that point too, as territory?
John and Shirley, you're muted. Did you hear the question?
No, we can't hear.
Oh, okay. Did New Mexico, go ahead. Yeah, ask again.
What I was asking, did New Mexico become part of the United States after the Mexican-American War? And was it created as a territory then? Do you know from your state history?
No, New Mexico and Arizona both joined 48 and 49 or 47 and 48, I guess it was.
Well, that was during the Mexican-American War, because at that time California came into being U.S. territory then as well.
New Mexico was a state in 1912.
Right, but they were territories before that.
Yeah, I believe that's right, Ada, but I don't know for sure.
Well, we can just go here and look,
Well,
because over here.
The reason I'm asking is because any records prior to that time would have been under Mexico and probably wouldn't even been in English if you had any ancestors that had gone into that area. Anyone that lived at that time.
Oh, well, there is a note here created by the United States from unorganized federal territory, but that was 1850. So, but one thing you can do here over on the left-hand side, we have these dates and we can just click on them and the map changes. And now it says New Mexico territory created again from, oh, that didn't change. Anyway, Says the same thing. Let's try. Well, that description's not changing, but whenever you change, oh, that's what we have to do on this one. You have to put the cursor over on the map. And it will tell you, it said in 1912, jurisdiction on Socorro County, if I said that right.
Yes.
Changed from New Mexico Territory to New Mexico. So it does give you the notes here on what's happening. So again, you could use that. And yeah, now that we know that, let's look back here. When was the Mexican War?
1847 to 48. I believe.
Okay. Well, the map only goes back to 1850. So I guess we can't answer that from the map. But, oh, one thing I was going to mention, and I set this up, I was going to say, just for a little humor, you know, hey, Alexa, when did New Mexico become a state?
1912.
New Mexico joined the Union on January 6, 1912. It has been a state for 110 years.
I don't know if you could do that, but that's something else you can use to check some of these boundaries.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that. Okay,
be quiet. Yeah, now she doesn't shut up. But you know, you can use your smart device. You can actually Google it and you know, check things out. The main point I want to bring up is places change without moving. So you need to be aware of that whenever you do your research. Any questions or comments? Pipe up.
If you're going to look for things in that Oklahoma territory, according to that little blurb at the bottom, you need to go to Texas.
Well, yeah, because at one point, Texas went clear to Colorado.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Yeah.
at 1.2, the panhandle of Oklahoma wasn't part of Texas, but
Yeah.
the compromise of 1850, I believe, anything north of a certain line that could not be a slave state. So they whacked off a part of Texas.
Or if you really want to know, call wifey. She's a history buff. And there's quite often, you know, if I don't ask,
She who must not be
we
named.
call her she who must not be named, so because she'll light up and start talking. If I don't want to ask her, I just ask over my shoulder, hey wifey, when did Oklahoma become a state? I do that, and yeah, she knows. She is as good as Google, probably even better. So she's real handy to have around. That's why I keep her, or to find dates and places.
No commercials.
So anyway, the thing to remember, newberry.org, map of US or mapofus.org, mycounties.com, and then family search /research/places. Those can all help you find spots and when they were. And actually, Family Search will try and help you with that. If you type in a place, they will try and direct you to what the place was with the date you put in. And they've got a whole team working on that as we speak. And they're right here in Texas. Yes?
You said one of them was what I'm not sure. I got something counties.com. My counties, is that right?
My counties, not
Okay.
yours, my counties.
Right. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay. I guess in talking to my smart device, somebody else's smart device picked up on it and answered the question. So that's funny. Yeah, sometimes she won't shut up.
As long as the answer is the same in both cases, why she's all right, but
Oh, some of the answers are just hilarious. And you know, if we use her for her shopping list, our shopping list, there's sometimes she doesn't put on the list what we thought we said. So
I unplugged my Alexa because I was sitting here one night very peacefully writing and the television on, and she spoke up. All of a sudden, there was this lady's voice behind me. I scared the daylights out of me. So I unplugged her, and she's not been plugged in since.
yeah. Okay, questions, comments?
I think it's been all very interesting, but one thing I learned this past couple of weeks is Family Search is really nothing more than a wiki. Because Lorraine and I have an Uncle Bill who married Aunt Lil. And according to Family Search, they were married, I think it was April the 12th in Weber, Utah. But I was always under the impression that they were married in a temple. There ain't no temple in Weber, Utah. So after a whole lot of search and trying to find obituaries and so on, we found out that they were married the next day, April the 3rd, in the Salt Lake Temple. But it's out there for anybody to go in and say that they were married on April the 12th. And I don't know how long it's been there, but you know, so that verified to me that just because it's there on Family Search doesn't mean it's true. It means it ought to be double checked.
That is very true. Your statement is true. And that's why you put in sources and attach them.
Yeah.
And then you've got people like me and my first wife. You know, we were married in where were we? Murray, Utah. And then a few years later, we had the church or temple marriage. So
In Dallas.
in Dallas. So we have 2 marriage dates and places.
Civil and eternal.
Yep. So
Well, it just came as quite a shock to me that as long as they've been gone and all this other stuff, that Uncle Bill and Aunt Lil, the information's inaccurate. That's showing up on the records after all these years. So anyway, just a point of observation.
yep. Well, I'm going to stop sharing unless somebody has a question that I need to answer with a map.